extraordinary business, and there is one item of extraordinary business that has been brought to our attention, and Mr. Kimpton can talk to that at this stage. Yeah,
certainly. So there's been one item that Councillor Casey would like to talk to, and the question is whether we do that now.
Yes, and I think in the circumstances, I think I'd prefer to bring it at the end of the meeting, seeing we've got taken so long to get through to this stage. So I will have to we'll bring that up at the end of the meeting. I'll move, it's been brought to my attention that it's a minor matter that Councillor Casey has raised. You can advance it now, and we'll move a motion, Councillor Casey, as the nature of the item, and then you can bring it forward at the end of the meeting.
It's basically about staff bullying and abuse, and the recent issue around the pup that was found in the dustbin in Greylin.
So you'll move that a minor item under standing orders be brought up at the appropriate time in this meeting. You're moving that. Is there a seconder?
Happy to second.
Seconded by
Mr. Chairman, point of order. An extraordinary item of business, there must be a reason why the discussion cannot be held or delayed until a subsequent meeting, because it's not on the agenda. Maybe we could have an explanation from Mr. Kempton or the mover of why this matter cannot be raised at another meeting.
It's not an extraordinary item, it's a matter of minor significance, which is another standing order.
No, it is a extraordinary item, but under the minor matter status, which is set out in the...
So possibly, if I can just read out 2.4.6, discussion of minor matters. The meeting may discuss an item that is not on the agenda if it is a minor matter relating to the general business of council, and the chairperson explains at the beginning of the public part of the meeting that the item will be discussed.
So I've decided it can be discussed. It can be discussed at the appropriate
Just
time.
clarification, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So I'll move. It's been moved and seconded. I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Declare that carried. We'll bring it up at the appropriate time. Thank you. We now move to item 9, which is a submission from local government on the submission on the Local Government Act 2000 Amendment Bill number 2, and we have Wayne here this morning to introduce this item. Wayne Brown, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and members. This item seeks delegations for the preparation of a submission to the Local Government Act Amendment Bill number 2. The issue is that the closing date for submissions doesn't sit well with our cycle of meetings. The submission date is to close on the 27th of July. We have sought an extension from Select Committee Secretariat. The latest advice from a phone call this morning was that it has not yet been considered. It may be considered at a meeting today. So in the first instance, we're asking that delegations be provided to the Chair and Deputy Chair to sign off on the submission for the 28th of July if an extension is not granted. The other thing that we're asking for is a political working party to work with staff on the development of that submission. Unfortunately, we're working in a very, very compressed time frame, and you will be aware that there is a workshop on the bill this afternoon.
Happy to move, Mr. Chair.
Yes, move. Seconded, sorry. Yeah, you'll specify that the members... where's the list? Yeah, the Chair, Deputy Chair, which is Councillor Nye, a member of the Independent Maori Statutory Board, and one or two other members who may be agreed by the committee if the committee wishes to add those members. If any members here are interested in being part of this group, anyone's around the room? Councillor Webster?
Yep.
And Councillor Wayne Walker, you're interested? Thank you. So we'll add those names in as well. And then you got the names in there, so we can now in a position to move that. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Declare that carried. And we'll have a workshop, hopefully a reasonably brief workshop at the conclusion of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wayne. We now move to item 10, which is a position for this council on Local Government New Zealand remit to advocate for increased funding of community policing and policing levels. And this was raised, I think, by Councillor Webster briefly at the last meeting, as she is our representative on Zone 1, and it was raised at the Zone 1 meeting in Whangarei a few weeks ago. So I'll let the officers introduce the paper and talk to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the report seeks agreement for Auckland Council to vote in support of the remit for Local Government New Zealand to advocate for increased police funding, particularly into community policing. The report presents what we believe to be fairly solid evidence in support of that remit, in particular noting that of the approximately $300 million in the recent budget announcement for increased policing funding, none of that went to increasing frontline staff members. The report also notes that population is one of the key drivers when it comes to deployment of police, and certainly given the exponential population growth we're seeing in Auckland, we think there would be a strong case to be made for increased frontline staff within Auckland. And the report also notes in particular that resolution rates in Auckland have been consistently lower than the national average over the last 20 years. We also know that 18 other local governments are proposing to vote in support of that remit. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
happy
you,
to
Paul
move.
and Katarina, for being here.
I'm happy to move, Madam.
Councillor Webster would move. Is there a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Penrose. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think the Deputy Mayor would be the person who would represent us, and I think there's an opportunity for local government New Zealand for us to second the remit if the representatives, our representatives at the conference will agree to that and also speak to it. So Councillor Lee, thank you.
Yes, I support this, Mr. Chairman, and the need for patrolling has certainly been reinforced in my mind after a spate of petty crime in the city centre, at which the presence of police would have been very helpful. But I just wonder whether it's a case of throwing more money at it, or is there indeed a preference or a policy within the bureaucracy of the police which tends to be opposed to sending people out on walking patrols, walking the beat? I think there needs to be a policy change also within the police based on the fact that the public receives great assurance and security just seeing police walking around, and I don't think that is really understood within the hierarchy of the New Zealand Police Force, and I've actually had cause to express those concerns directly to them at a public meeting regarding the vicious assaults on Chinese students in Albert Park earlier in March.
Thank you. Councillor Crum.
Yeah, can I just get some clarification, Mr. Chair, on just the way that we handle remits at Local Government New Zealand conferences, given that it may be since the authorisation of this report, maybe it's firmed up a bit, but in paragraph 5, what we're looking at here is just draft text of a proposed remit. So, you know, obviously this is going to take place, but we're not, are we sure of what the wording is that we are actually wanting to support here today? And picking up on Councillor Lee's comment, that I think beware of simplistic remits and, well, and their effectiveness for one thing, and also what could be a cat that could be skinned in a different way. So can I just get, are we for all remits, we delegate authority to those who are attending the conference on our behalf to
Yeah.
work on it. So are we going to be looking at all remits? Honestly, I forget the way that we handle remits at Local Government New Zealand Conference. Why are we isolating this? Clarification,
Well,
please.
this one was one that was raised at the number 1 zone meeting at Whangarei. I was there, and it wasn't because of this was a remit, but I did show interest in this remit, and there's not a lot of remits. The remits are put in by the council that wants to move the remit, and then they go to a committee at Local Government New Zealand where they make a decision as to whether the remit warrants going forward. I don't think they have many remits at the conferences. It's limited because they have this clearinghouse meeting before the thing. So this is one that went forward, and we were asked whether we would be prepared to support this remit as other councils around New Zealand are, and that's how it's reached this stage of the proceedings. So I can't tell you what other remits there are. Councillor Webster may be able to tell us.
Can I just, before you do speak, Penny, can I just caution that we need to be consistent with the way that we address these matters? If we're going to delegate authority to those who are attending to deal with remits on our behalf, isolating one issue out and requesting that staff do, which is some great content, but staff go and take their time on drawing down more fully into some remits and not others. Yeah. I think we should be having a consistent approach.
Mr. Chairman, I actually, at the last meeting, asked, it wasn't particularly on the remit, it was more to look into Local Government New Zealand and their concerns with community policing throughout New Zealand. As far as the remits are concerned, once the National Council AGM comes out, we'll know what remits there are, and I will bring that up at a meeting of councillors and see what we support and what we don't, which is how we usually do it, usually at a lunch or something.
So I'll just echo my earlier comment that we're debating and spending time, and staff have been spending time on something that we don't even know is going to surface.
No, this is definitely
But
going to surface.
there is an issue.
It definitely is going to surface because it's been approved by the National Council Committee that deals with remits. Councillor Penrose.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. And look, I think in taking the views and concerns that Councillor Crum has on board, and Councillor Webster raises, as we know, at one of our other meetings, the satellite stations for our community policing. And this has all come in light of of course, the new Health and Safety Act that have come in place. And it goes deeper than that. I mean, to say we've started a procedure with our own health and safety internal, and it was sad that only 4 councillors turned up to the South Friday week ago for the most important thing that we've got to deal with on council, health and safety. The police are no different. And look, having regular discussions with the Minister on this, Minister of Police on this, and having the comfort that Commissioner Bush, Mr. Chair, has been reappointed for another 3 years. It's top of his priority list, I know, to make sure that we have the health and safety of those volunteers in those satellite stations first and foremost. You don't know when something's going to come to fruition in regards to an issue. But they've made it very clear that they want to make sure that those satellite stations are there in their local communities, but they've got to overcome the problem and make it safe for all their members. So look, I think this will just spark a discussion and try and find the best way forward.
Thank you.
Sorry, could I just comment? I mean, I did ask at the last meeting that we have a report on it, and having spoken to both the Chair and to Mr Kimpton, it seemed that as Local Government New Zealand was doing the work on it anyway, rather than expect the staff to do a whole lot of work on it just for Auckland, I suggested that we actually work this way. So it's probably my fault that, in fact, I was trying to help the staff, not having to do a whole lot of work when the work's already being done at Local Government New Zealand.
Thank you. Councillor Cashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think no one would question the work that the police do and how vital it is for our community safety and the increasing population that we are experiencing. Resources probably need to be looked at and investigated, and also take on what Councillor Penrose has said about the community safety and the out hubs that need to be made correct and fit for purpose in those outer regions. So our discussion, and we take forward to the conference, will that also include not only the reactive services that the police do, but also the proactive services?